All right, looks like we're at the bewitching hour here. We'll call the meeting to order, and before we get started, I know there's a lot of phones. I'm sure it's just people want to keep up with the time, but if you've got a phone, could I ask that you just put it on silent, please, so that we don't get 48 different ringtones or whatever. I'd greatly appreciate it. We'll start out with a pledge to our flag and a quick prayer, and then we'll get started, okay? So if you'll stand with me, folks. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to... And tonight, as we move through our agenda, I'll pray that our efforts, our behavior will be pleasing to you. And then, Lord, when we're through, you'll see us safely home. We'll ask all of these things in your precious name. Amen. Amen. Okay, we've got some housekeeping with the approval of minutes. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sets of minutes. Am I correct? We have 5 total sets. What I'd like to do is, all of you were present except for the August 12th morning meeting. So you each have a copy of all of those, and if we can do those 4, we'll go ahead and accept the motion to approve those as submitted.
Motion to approve.
Second. I have a motion to approve in a second. Any questions or comments on this? All right. Commissioner Bess?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes. All right. And then for that final set on August 12th in the morning, if you have a chance, we'll approve those as well.
Motion to approve.
Second. Yeah, it was Kurt and Foster that we were. Very good. Okay. Motion and a second. Any questions or comments on those from Commissioner Madison? Well, I guess any of you can ask a question, though, even if you weren't here. Any comments or questions on those minutes? Okay, the vote then would start with Commissioner Kirk.
Abstain.
Abstain.
Yes.
Yes.
Very good.
And then, do you need to vote?
I don't think so. I think we had a majority with the 2. Actually, do I have to for the quorum?
2 abstained
Yes.
and 2 voted no.
Yes. Yeah, that'll work. We're good. Just trying to keep it straight here, folks. All right. Tonight, we don't have any business involving guests, groups, or multiple visitors, at least not scheduled. That's our placeholder for that. And then, so we move into the chairman's report. And I've only got one item. This is primarily for our commissioners. I'd like to ask that at our next meeting, and we're mentioning that tonight because we're going to go ahead and kind of lay the groundwork or start putting some things together. But the next meeting is September 9th, and I'd ask that we include a discussion item on that agenda regarding a position change for the county clerk to reflect county clerk/administrator. And my recommendation would be to use your current county clerk in that role, Underwood. So that would like to speak, maybe as a spokesperson or whatever, so that will allow you a little more time, but it will facilitate allowing, a little bit better discussion on one particular side if you're here to do that. Otherwise, I'm going to ask that individuals, we keep our comments and statements to 3 minutes. 3 minutes, and since there are a number of us, I brought a stopwatch here, and what I just want to make it known up front, though. So try to get to whatever it is you want to say, and then we'll have some other folks speak too. At some point in time, there is those agenda items I just mentioned that we do need to cover. So at some point in time, we will probably call knock it off, but we'll try to give as many people as we can an opportunity to speak, okay? So with that, one ground rule here. Please speak about the item. Speak about the item, not about anybody, please. Let's keep it as cordial and as civil as we can. And should anybody feel a little frustrated, we're going to ask you to be frustrated outside, please. And that's not trying to be silly. It's just I want to keep it as, it's already warm in this room, so let's keep it as comfortable as we can, okay? So I'm going to open up the floor. Is there anybody that would like to make a statement or comment on any agenda item tonight?
Can you explain the noise ordinance, what you want to do?
Okay, and we will be explaining that. We will be explaining that when we get to that. If we'll back off the formality here a little bit. All we're trying to do with that noise ordinance is clean up the language. Georgia state law does not require any county to have a noise ordinance. Plain and simple. We have one. We don't have to have it. The language in there was to actually serve to let folks that might move to this area that to make them aware that these certain activities that are in the amendment are permissible. So that's really what the amendment is doing. It's not, quite honestly, if the board takes the action to pass on the ordinance, they can do so, and it's not going to change the fact that the county still can permit those activities, though. So, with that, we'll open the floor. If anybody would like to speak on any of these items.
Should I get ready?
It's Ted Fowler.
James Ted Fowler. I'm 6/10 of a mile from the GRP plant. I walk out my back door and I'm blasted about the noise when they're in operation. My quality of life has been destroyed because of that. That's the bottom line. I moved there in 1986. And, you know, I live in the country and I expect the country to be nice and peaceful. But not anymore. That's the reason I asked about the noise, because it is a noise.
Ordinance, which is very wide open, I've read it as well, that maybe you put some more stipulations into it. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. Anybody else?
My name's Rodney Rogers. Excuse me, I'm very nervous, but I know y'all are considering taking Little League away from Madison County. And I don't know if any of y'all have coached. I know some of y'all have coached Little League. Some maybe have played, possibly, or not played. But and I know the logistics of what has been proposed makes no sense to me. I just read them, but I don't really care about the logistics of the money, all that. I coached for 13 years. We won 3 state championships. The girls did. I just happened to be the facilitator. The point of that is for them to move on to try to go to the Little League World Series. That has been their goal, the girls' goal, my goal for years and years and years, to win the state championship. And we did in 13. We lost it in 2012 in heartbreak in the middle of the night, but that's a long story. But we come back in 13, 14, and 15, won it. The bonding of that, these girls are now at the age where they're having kids, getting married. They're still calling me, texting me, come to weddings and all this stuff from the family that we bonded over Little League. The thing is, and I don't know if any of y'all know this, it says, I trust in God, I love my country, and will respect its laws. I will play fair and strive to win, but win or lose, I will always do my best. That's a Little League pledge, and every player that has ever played for me knows that Little League pledge. And we're talking hundreds and hundreds, because I coached baseball and softball for, like I said, about a dozen years. And I know there's been some, and I'm not even on the Little League board. I was for a long time and was involved in it, and I don't really know what's going on between Little League and the rec department, and what all went on, and there may be some good and some bad on both sides, I don't know. But to move Little League out of Madison County just absolutely makes no sense. I mean, it's been here for 60-something years. Ever been some issues? Probably. Are there gonna be some issues if somebody else takes over? Yeah, I mean, it's, it's parents and kids, and, it's just people. It's just people, people, they think their kids are the best ones, and, you gotta find some medium ground. And all the years I coached, I never had any issues with any parents that we didn't resolve ourselves. I never had to go to the board, anything whatsoever. And that is still the truth about the way a lot of people have kind of went around the rules, so to speak, to get to you guys to making a decision on taking Little League out of the rec department, out of Madison County.
2005 to present. Had some great times. My daughter actually played for Rodney a couple years. Great guy. We was a part of the string, which we had 7 district titles, just for Madison County. We whooped Hart County, Franklin County, Elba County, wherever. We took care of. And it meant a lot to me and my daughter. It's something that we got memories of, that we can always go back on and think of. Now, I'm coaching my 8-year-old son in Little League. And it's a real big deal to me. I talked to most of y'all, I think, on the phone at one time during this, and just seeing what everybody's feelings was. So I've coached Little League. I've also coached in the GPRA for the rec department. I've coached both, okay? And basketball. I've coached basketball now 5 seasons, I think. There's problems with Little League. There's also problems with the GPRA, I promise, okay? I've had parents complain at Little League. I've had parents complain at basketball, both of them. So, if you think one might be, that the GRPA or GPRA, whatever it is like the new thing coming in, it's the same stuff. You ain't gonna get rid of the problems you think you have now by bringing this other one, putting it up to the forefront. That's for sure. Okay, I've done both of them. I don't know how many people in here can say they've coached both, but both of them have issues. I do know that the memories that I have, myself playing Little League in the 90s, and then coaching my daughter in the 2000s, and now my son, I wouldn't give him away for nothing. Absolutely nothing. I just want y'all to understand how much it means to this community. I can tell by everybody here, y'all are here, I feel like the commissioners are here to help the majority of the Madison County citizens. Okay, and I feel like the majority of people that care about this are here right now, standing right in front of y'all. I don't know how many people here is against it, but that's definitely the majority of people, citizens, against a Little League. Okay? So if y'all just please think about it, what the majority wants to happen, what everybody in the county wants to happen, the reason people showed up here tonight. Okay? Thank y'all very much.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Biesler.
So I'm here to speak about Little League as well. I have a couple sons in it, and I've worked with the Little League Board of Directors to do a survey, and here are some of the results that came in, just for your review. Much to these other gentlemen's comments.
Can I get your name, sir?
Joe DiNapoli. Just like the other 2 gentlemen commented, to be honest. If you go ahead and look through this, you'll see that, we posted it online through the Madison County Little League website, through Facebook, through an email barrage. We covered things from t-ball, pitching machine, baseball, and softball, so the whole gamut was reflected. And, we had 150 recipients, not massive, but statistics are not rated as highly as in other areas. And in addition, it sounded like in previous meetings, everybody figured everybody's going to, leave Little League, unlikely to re-enroll. But when you look at it, they're as unlikely or less likely to re-enroll in the rec department, to be honest. 35% of respondents said they're unlikely to return to t-ball and pitching machine. 29% said they were unlikely to return to Little League baseball. And only 12% said that about softball. So softball's quite, even though their facilities aren't great, they're very committed. And so are we. I grew up in Little League myself. I think it's a great thing. I think watching the Little League World Series over the weekend, if you didn't watch any of it, you really missed out. Something special. I hope you guys seriously entertain allowing it to stay in Madison County. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Adrienne Simmons. I had a child that played senior league this year, Little League, and my daughter played pitching machine. We are coming up to Little League age with her. I'm the person that's been blasted constantly on Facebook saying they caused all this. Wish I was as powerful as everybody wants to think I am, but I'm not. I had an issue. I took it exactly where you were supposed to the Little League board, to Robin, and to you guys, which has been incorrectly quoted repeatedly on Facebook. To me, the biggest damage to Little League is this Facebook post with people. I mean, it's Little League board members talking back and forth to one another. It's not the whole county. And as far as the survey goes, the survey went out on the district level. So you have people filling out that survey that aren't in Madison County. And that skews results. I never saw a survey. But I got a bunch of emails from Little League wanting me to come support them. Do I think there's good people in Little League? And do I think Little League's a good organization? I do. I really do. Watching those kids on TV this past weekend is amazing. But we got to be realistic. We got to be realistic with our kids. And there's nothing wrong with a kid dreaming. But if you're in it for the kids, as has been said over and over and over again, you'll let them play. Let them play. No matter what it is. I don't know what the Little League board proposed after the meeting where y'all asked for proposals. I know I was told the person who caused my issue was off the board and all. Well, he's sitting on the Little League web page representing District 7. That's not an act of good.
I feel like we've been misled as well by some of the commissioners. I have posts from Lee Allen and you, Mr. Kirk, saying that it wasn't about getting rid of Little League, it was who was going to run Little League. And that, that you specifically wanted us to come to a conclusion of how to address the complaints. And I feel like Little League has done that. I feel like they've taken the effort to address complaints. They've done surveys. We've done petitions. We've rallied together to see what we could truly do to make this a better organization. And I think that needs to be considered because we're passionate people. We love Little League. We love the patch that our children bear. Our children want to be in Little League. And I hope you can consider that because I have a little boy back here that is devastated right now. He's even written to you. His name is Avery Hawkins. And he wakes up every single morning saying, Mama, Jesus told me I'm going to the Little League World Series today. That means a lot to a mom. I don't hear him waking up saying, I want to go to the GRPA. He wants to go to Little League. And if GRPA comes to this county, we won't be associated with it because I'm going to put my baby where his heart is. Because if we are doing it for the best interest of the kid, I'm going to do what my kid's heart says. And I hope that you can consider that and all the kids that stand behind Little League as well.
I have one question.
Yes, sir.
All right, so I see the surveys and I just changed .org. I've seen that. I've yet to see actually some of the issues that were brought up as far as how the thing was managed and how that rules were, whatever, what I had heard from people who have addressed me, yet how those have been addressed. So, do you have that document?
I'm not on the board. I'm just a mom, but I can assure you that someone behind me does. They have their own proposal. They have their own complaint process that they have renewed, and hopefully they'll step up to give you that information.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm Leah Streetman. Streetman. I was one of the ones that sent complaints, and I actually sent my complaints to Kristen when she asked, and I've yet to hear the first thing from the Little League Board or anyone associated. So I just wanted to let everybody know that I'm still waiting to hear. I'm not on the board now. You asked me to send it to the board.
All right, anybody else want to speak to? Anybody else?
No, go ahead. You go ahead first. I'll leave.
Hello, everybody. I'm Brad Crumley. I've lived in this county 50 years. I started Little League over 40 years ago. It taught me a lot. It taught me the difference between winning and losing.
My 3 boys have been fortunate enough to play school ball. One of them was not. But even though my one played school ball at Madison County Middle School, he also played travel ball that same year, and he also chose to play Little League. Because Little League, he was with all his friends, versus travel ball, you're with different kids from different counties. Not everybody is fortunate enough to be able to afford to play travel ball or to make the school ball team. So to me, by having the Little League program, you know, you keep the kids together here in the county. And like somebody said earlier, the memories these kids make. My middle child who played Madison County Middle School, he's played at Athens Christian, was their catcher for 2 straight years in a row. The memories he has from Madison County Little League, he'll never forget, and he cherishes those memories. And he also, but he's like me, he doesn't like to speak, but he is definitely here in support of the Madison County Little League program. And like I said, me and my family have been involved many years, and we give them 110%. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dawn Everhart. My son's John and Mike. They both play Little League. We started in Franklin County because they start a little earlier and they don't have pitching machines and some of the crazy stuff that goes on here. So we started in Franklin County. We moved to Madison County so we could start playing Little League and playing All-Stars. At my house, the Little League World Series has been on nonstop, kind of a loop. We record it and just keep watching it because they both really want to go to Little League. They both play travel ball, but they both like Little League because they get to play with their friends from school, and they want to go to Little League World Series. Will they get there? I don't know. Do they have a chance if you take Little League out of here? No. That's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Got time for a few more here before we close out. Does anybody else want to speak?
My name is Michelle May, and I come as a parent. We have young adult children, 2 sons, and a daughter who played in Little League. And I have a couple questions and financial concerns. I know somebody mentioned about, you know, money not being an issue, but to me it is an issue. I understand that a position is to be created to handle this if it goes before this new organization and no Little League. Is that accurate with the rec park, a new position?
Not totally accurate, no ma'am.
Pardon?
Not totally accurate, no ma'am.
Okay, explain not totally accurate.
I'll get to it when we get to our part on
Okay.
this, but that's not totally
Okay, and so that is a point of concern. Another point of concern is we are all taxpayers in this room. So even though Little League, it functions through volunteers and it functions.
And I enjoy doing it, and I think if you take the Little League out of Madison County, you're doing a very big mistake, because Little League has been a big thing in our county, and I've enjoyed coaching with it for the last 42 years, and I tell you right now, I want to see it stay. I don't want to see it change over to something else, because Little League is a great thing. It's a great organization. We need to keep it. I thank y'all for your time for listening to this, and I hope you'll consider it. Thank you, sir.
Sir.
Our complaint policy and our proposal. I think I've emailed to everybody. I'm not sure if I got them.
I have it. You get it. I have it. Yep.
I also have copies of the money that we provided to the rec department. Some of y'all might, at one of the earlier meetings. Nicole Bridges. So my name is Nicole Bridges, and I'm president of the Madison County Little League. Mr. Bryan, at one of our meetings, we had talked about emails, complaints, and you were going to forward those to me.
I forwarded them to Lee, to forward to you.
And you said you had 4 or 5, and I didn't receive those.
Okay.
So the complaint policy we had come up with was a way to handle complaints moving forward.
Okay.
Any questions on any of that?
What I failed to tell at the beginning of this, and I realize now, this is an opportunity for statements and remarks from anybody. So we try not to interrupt, we try not to do that. So it's really about, you having the opportunity to say and express whatever you want. So they're not, we have it as an agenda item, and we'll cover it as far as our position and the discussion items when we get to that. And that wasn't just made up tonight, it's been that way, so just being clear. I don't want somebody.
What years, can I ask a question?
Please.
What years is from, these from?
If you go back, like the Diamond Hill batting cages, there is item 1, so 2006, and it's all the check numbers on the top front page.
Or some money for doing something from Little League or the rec department. Anybody want to be honest and like, yeah, I did something for the rec department or Little League and got some money? Anybody?
I used to work for the rec department and got a paycheck
Okay, thank you.
from 92 to 2.5 years.
Thank you.
That's where I got my first master's in.
All right. Well, with that, we're going to go ahead and move on into our agenda here so that we can take care of some of this here. Our agenda says August 26th, and I don't want to have to change it to 26/27. So this first item is our tax commissioner, Robin Baker, was to make a request of the board to consider item number 5, a refund of $3,287.48 to Thomas Hartley for overpayment of 2018 taxes. I'd like to read, in his absence, they have a family emergency, and a serious family emergency, I might add. And so it'll be the board's discretion to either take this as an action item tonight, or if you want to postpone that, that'll be fine too. But let me read his email pertaining to this. During the 2018 data collection process, our field appraiser made a visit to 307 Bonds Lake Road to measure a house from a permit. Back in the office, the new construction was entered on parcel number 0009007, which is the parcel referenced on the permit. The house actually belonged on parcel 0010-00501 at 307 Bonds Lake Road. So, not to confuse the issue, but the first parcel that it was entered on is 721 Bonds Lake Road. We now have the house on the correct parcel and have collected the 2018 taxes from the correct owner and need to refund the owner of the offended parcel, the overpayment on his 2018 taxes. So they're asking for the approval to go ahead and refund that money to the property owner that was overcharged on that. So if you care to take an action, we can entertain a motion to approve the refund, or if you want to table that when he can present it himself.
I make the motion that we refund the money.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to refund that. Are there any questions? Is everybody clear on the explanation here? Okay. All right, vote is to Commissioner Doster.
Yes.
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 Okay. So our next item, and this is the one that was mentioned earlier, is to consider approving an amendment to the noise ordinance. The amendment reads, keeping then a substantive change to the ordinance.
Yes, sir. So the ordinance currently has exemptions for noises arising from normal and customary transportation, agricultural, and public utilities. The proposed amendment would add to that manufacturing, commercial, and what was the other one? Governmental operations, which of course governmental is typically going to have its own sovereign immunity, and we could not regulate that anyway. Just a clarification on that point. So citizens have the right to enforce against each other through tort law, through private nuisance actions and whatnot. Anything that is a nuisance, it's just a matter of defining what the government's role in that is going to be. As you said, it's typical to have actually a much longer, if you look at Athens, Clarke counties, for example, it's a much longer list of exceptions. We have a much shorter ordinance. They have exceptions to exceptions. That's sort of where we are with noise ordinance.
Okay. And I realized I was a little hasty. That was on a consent agenda, but beforehand we were asked to consider breaking that apart if that's acceptable for the commissioners, at least in the interest of having the discussion on that. Okay. Is that explanation sufficient, or is there any need for any other clarification on that?
Mr. Chairman, I think it was, I had received a couple calls, especially regarding the Clinton Culvert, and I think it was some questions that I had to try to dig into it, and the more I researched, the more I realized that it's a convoluted thing when you incorporate all the state laws on the different entities and whatnot. But at the end of the day, it's trying to clean up the ordinance so there's expectations moving forward, doesn't render some frustration that's out there, some of the noise that could be heard in that area, people that live in that area. So I just want to make that clear that it's trying to clean up what we have moving forward. It's not necessarily a retroactive situation. It's trying to set expectations in the future, if that's clear.
And there was a concern earlier with regard with one of the Gina Ward spoke, asking about the perhaps the unintended consequences of approving that. Would it extend to other activities? And I believe to her question, it was it's on an upcoming rezone application, and it extends to special use or conditional use, right? Conditional use of that property. So it wouldn't fall under a noise ordinance per se. It would be more under the use of that property for the requested use. It's a kennel that is being asked to be placed into operation. So that has already been highway Highway 29 Quick Stop Incorporated.
So moved.
I have a motion
Second.
and a second. Because it's consent, I would anticipate there not to be any more discussion on that, but is there any discussion or comments on that? Commissioner Strickland?
Yes.
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 Yes. We're on to old business, to consider the, 2019 millage rates. And each of the commissioners has a copy of the, you had the, PT 32 form from last time, if you recall that. Strain anybody's memory here. I'll find it here. Here we go. And it's actually the Property Tax Digest and 5-year history of levy. And it shows the rate, if you'll just loosely looking at unincorporated area was the net millage reflects 13.107, which is actually a reduction from last year's. And in the incorporated area, that same figure reflects 14.649, which is again a reduction from last year's net maintenance and operation millage rate. So that is what we're asking for a motion to approve that millage rate is listed. And then we'll move to a resolution on that, combining all of those.
Motion to approve.
Jake, I have a motion and a second to approve. Any questions on the on that? All right. Vote is to Commissioner Bettis.
Yes.
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 All right. Next one is the resolution to combine the school board, ID and VA, and the county millage rates, and you have that resolution in front of you as well. And it has a breakout on the second page of the actual rates for the incorporated and unincorporated area. We can take the motion to approve the resolution for discussion if you'd like. I need a motion to approve the resolution.
Motion to approve.
Resolution. Very good. And in the facilities use agreement, the facilities use agreement actually it breaks down all the terms and it really outlines the parameters in which the Little League organization would use county facilities to participate in. That's the whole use. That's the whole purpose of this agreement. And we have, I heard a couple of the comments, and I shared that when we got to this, the board would have the opportunity to offer their comments or their thoughts on it. And it is true that the Little League organization and their families are taxpayers, no doubt about it, as are any other players that participate at the rec department. So I just want to make sure that we're not being exclusive in singling out, like there's a double tax on them if they have to pay or if they have to use that. What I want to make sure of, though, is right now the arrangement as it currently exists, and I was looking at the 2019, is is almost this exclusive use for those times and those fields that have been identified for use by the Madison County Little League. And the questions were asked about the budget or the monetary concerns. You know, is there going to be an added expense? Is that, are these going to exist? First and foremost, the rec department already does exist, and it is funded. So I mean, the facilities and the fields and everything are maintained through the general fund, through county funding. So there shouldn't be a question about whether or not, you know, there's going to be added expense. The one clarification, and I said I'd come back to it, and I believe it was, Ms. May made the point that the position that was created, or the position that was outlined or identified this year, a number of years ago, Madison County Rec Department operated with 3. A director and assistant director, and there was a third person. There was for a number of years. As circumstances with the budget dictated, one of those positions went away. So the discussion a year ago, almost 2 years ago, was to consider, and we did not consider it a year ago, did not consider it 2 years ago, to bring that position back online. Whether it doesn't, for our discussion here, it doesn't matter if you participate in Little League baseball or volleyball or any of the sports activities that take place out there. Truth of the matter is, the scope of the activities that are offered by our rec department have grown tremendously, though, period. So there really can't, I fight the notion that exists, or that position exists, just because we're wanting to participating today as opposed to 10 years ago. Regardless of what may go up and down in attendance in which sport or whatever, the overall numbers have increased. So that was a move that was already in place. So what we have, the issue tonight is not to eliminate Little League, it's to renew or not to renew this facilities user agreement. That's all it's for. Does that mean they can't play? No, what it might mean is there may need to be another alternative. It is at the board's discretion, because, and I appreciate the history on the formation of the fields and how the rec department came about, I really do. But we work grants every day here right now, first time in forever that I know of that we've been actively pursuing the number of grants that we go after to include maintenance or restoration on an old courthouse, a multi-million-dollar ag facility coming in. We have grants that were actually been awarded. They cannot give that money to the ag center. It has to go to a county or a municipality. So that means it has to come to the county. For anybody that and I'm not trying to pick a fight. I just want to make sure you're clear. I write the grant. I do not get the money. I don't give the money away. It is for the purpose of that project. So my hat is off to anybody who has ever written a grant, who's ever captured, who's ever been awarded a grant for whatever purpose in this county. That's outstanding. I just don't want it to be part of who owns what in this county. If it's county property, it's county property. If I build my house on your property, you get a house. That's the way that works. So it becomes part of your property. And so I just want us to make sure we're not talking about the same, ownership of these fields and who owns them, who has rights to them, or whatever. The county owns the property. This is about a facilities use agreement and what the county is willing to negotiate with an organization, Little League, youth football, whatever, and whether or not we can agree to the terms. So with that, what I'd like to do is I'll open the floor. We can entertain a motion, or you can have your discussion first. It's the commissioner's discretion on this, if you'd like to talk about thoughts or comments that were received tonight.
We can play.
Please, yes.
Coach Gass, is that your name?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I've got a few questions then of the audience. Who played 3 sports in high school and college? Raise your hand. Who went to college to get a rec degree? 3 sports in high school and college. Okay, good. Who went to college to get a rec degree, recreation degree, or sports management degree? Who went to graduate school to get a degree in sports management? Who worked at UGA Rec Sports for 14 years and ran intramural sports for 10 years? Some of those leagues had 300 teams in them. Who's coached rec department or Little League for over 23 years? Went to UGA. And you explained, Chairman Scarborough, that position today, there's probably, 25 to 30% more outdoor recreational facility in the county, along with probably a 20 to 25% increase in programs. So the position's needed. I helped start the summer camp. I know that's a big deal too. I know that's going to go, that position's going to help out along with that. So that's all I wanted to say on that.
Can I make a statement from that? Second.
I'll give you, yeah, typically we don't, but I'll, go ahead. Be quick though, please.
Yes, sir, it's Brad Crummy again.
Yeah.
Ma'am, I don't have college education like you, but I know enough people in this county, voter-wise, to vote anybody that says no on this tonight is Little League out. So.
Noted. Anybody in the county can do that at any time.
Our district, I don't know which one of y'all that, I'll run against you.
Okay. Fair enough. So that's why we generally don't allow these comments. Yeah, thank you. If it's constructive, I'll take it every day. This is not rants and raves, folks. Please, don't, I know, but don't challenge me here. All right.
Ms. Madison.
Excuse me, hang on, we're not doing it anymore. Trust me, we're done this time.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So y'all can feel free if you would like to talk afterwards, but I don't want to talk right now on that. So, and if you want to have the conversation, feel free to go out. Y'all can step out and have your own conversation outside. I've not interrupted anybody here tonight, so please, just honor me the same thing, okay? Little League organization has existed a long time. I played for Buck Perry back in early 70s over here on the Highway 29 North Field. And I loved baseball. I did. And there definitely, again, as many of you spoke tonight, I've not only heard your name, but I've read your name a number of times. So I'm very comfortable with how most people feel. I'm equally aware of when you're trying to make a point, when you're trying to present your case, and the method that is used is to tear down other people, you can anticipate that not being accepted well. That's a human element. It's a human element. So I've not attacked anybody, and I've tried to be very fair, and I believe a lot of things have been blown out of proportion. But I do appreciate the passion, and I know that a lot of things that are said because people are passionate. It's the passion. This would have never come before the Board of Commissioners, except that there are a number of complaints. It's not one or two. It was not one or two. And from some folks that have been in this organization for a long time. So they're not in your organization today. But I took their complaint, if you will, their words. I took them just like I took, anything that anybody shared tonight. And no, my mind wasn't made up. It does come back down to dollars and cents. at some point, I mean, that's a portion of it, it's gotta be a part of the consideration. And it's true, listen, you want temporary, yeah, run for an office, it can be as temporary as it needs to be, and I'm okay with that. That's what makes America great, and I support every bit of that, and that's why we all do get to vote, and I hope we all prosper. But, again, that's probably not worth the breath that it took to threaten me with it, well, it's not gonna bother me. I'll do everything I can, I'm sure they're gonna do everything they can on every other issue that matters beyond Little League. So, with that, I'm off my soapbox now. We'll return to the issue, and if the board would like to entertain a motion to renew or to not renew the Recreation Department's facility use agreement, we'll take that at this time.
Is this something that can be put to a public vote?
No, not at all. It doesn't go to public vote.
I have a question, just procedural.
Please, okay.
I mean, I have never been to one of these meetings before, so
Right.
could you just explain the procedure, as to, discussion that occurs, when the vote occurs, when questions are allowed? That's the part I'm not quite sure on. Can you just explain that?
So there was a place at the beginning where many of you spoke, and that's an opportunity to share your feelings and everything. When it gets to the item in question, when it's on the agenda item, we're into the business meeting, and it's about the commissioners at this point.
And we're watching, observing.
That is correct. That is correct.
I just needed to know.
And the proper procedure is to take a motion in a second, and then enter into discussion.
Okay.
So, this one, there was enough discussion here that I felt like it was appropriate if they wanted to discuss and then enter into a motion, then they could do that. So that's where we are, and I'll turn it over to Commissioner.
And I would like to make a motion, but I would like to first say, as he said, the county owns the property, and the county hires a director, and the commissioners appoint a board. They cannot be held captive by any organization or any one person. Mr. Bill Taylor coached me in Little League. They don't make them like that anymore. Mr. Bill Taylor served this county. Mr. Bill Taylor served the Farm Bureau as a director. As well, Ted Adams coached me, Mike Fitzpatrick, Stanley Bowman's not with us anymore. These are good men.
Okay, I need to know before you vote, because we both have an agreement.
But, yeah, this was as it pertains to Little League.
They're separate.
I have, okay.
So, I have a motion to not renew the facilities use agreement. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a second. Is there any further discussion on this one?
Mr. Chairman, I'll just share, I've had opportunity to talk to several people on both sides of the equation, and I think both sides are passionate on this. I think that, I do believe that most of the people that I talked to that were in favor were I would say maybe not misled, but misinformed, that it seemed like there was not necessarily whether it was Little League or some other organization, it was an attempt to remove the baseball, softball program completely, and I tried to assure them of that. But then after that, I don't think they had, they just wanted the kids to play, just wanted the opportunity to play and whatnot.
I would also like to make a comment. I attended the meetings, and after I got a lot of emails, and also at the rec department, because my grandkids are playing. My son is coaching with the rec department, him and a bunch of his friends. They're not in the Little League program, they're in the rec department program. But now I coached in the Little League program. I've been involved with things at the rec department for years and years. But as Tripp has already alluded to, every time I went just to watch my grandson play, I had a lot of people approach me talking about all the issues that they had seen with Little League, which turned out to be in what I looked at as being management issues. So when we came down to have those discussions, I asked that the Little League do whatever they did to address those management issues, those type of things that occur, that also the incident with Ms. Holloman over here, those kind of things, that, you know, how do these occur? How can we avoid these? What kind of changes could be made in the future? Now, I know I've got this piece of paper, and I've got this, how you would handle complaints and stuff, but I haven't seen a real concrete, what I was expecting to see about how these issues would be handled and how the management, how it'd be set up, the whole thing. Basically, what I saw, and a lot of the correspondence that I seen was addressing, other than addressing how issues and complaints would be taken, one of the with a whole bunch of folks that are involved in sports in Madison County to get their opinion. And when it came back, what I gleaned from what I was told, well, let me say before I take that, I also shared the proposal, the rec department, about how that they would have classifications and those kind of things, and going on with the Georgia Recreation Department, how do we do that, and let them compare them and look at what was presented. And then I said, okay, what do you think, and where do you come out at on this? And overwhelmingly, it was sided with the rec department. So that's what, you know, I'm basing my vote on when I vote. So just to let you know, that's where it's coming out at. So it's not something I've taken lightly. I really did in our first meetings, and I said this, hope that we could keep Little League. Keep Little League as far as over at the fields and being a integral part of the recreation program, but I don't see how that's going to work out from my standpoint. Being just as honest as I can.
I attended one of your board meetings. I came and I spoke and I asked, you all met with the rec board? No, we've never met. And at that point I said, you know, let's communicate. You know, there's people. I mean, I don't think you can get better people than in Madison County. I love this county. I know I wasn't born and raised here, but I married a man who graduated from Madison County High School, who played Little League, who worked at the rec department in the 70s. And I really thought it could, you know, let's talk, let's sit down, let's be adults and work through this together. Jackie Taylor, I respect her so much. When I worked at the rec department, Madison, in the Little League, we got along well, the Westbrooks, the Bowmans, the Youngbloods, you can go on and on, the Taylors. And then, you know, to have this, you know, you're writing comments on the rec department when they're just trying to make a statement about a program and making really unprofessional or inappropriate comments just on there. I mean, let's be civil. Let's get along. And that didn't happen.
I can't stop myself. I'm sorry. You called me a redneck and not an adult. You told me how great your degrees are, and I need to be more civil. I don't post on rants and raves. I have never said anything about it. So for you to attack us, you feel just as attacked as you did a few minutes ago.
I didn't say you weren't an adult.
No.
I said
It was a redneck.
Okay.
But it is a 65-year relationship that the leaders, the county council, should not take lightly. and work with the Little League more than just a few months, in my opinion.
Point of order.
Okay, and I appreciate that. I know we could chat about this all night long, and I think that,
I've talked to, Alan, and I sent him, just about, there's an issue on Thomas Drive, but we're talking, okay.
Okay, we're gonna resume here. If everybody's out that wants out, we're gonna go ahead and try to finish up here. Okay, I've got that. Any others? Any others? It is.
Let's just make it start again.
Are there any further that need to be discussed tonight? No? Folks, if y'all wanna continue, please just take it outside. We'd appreciate it.
Where we're at on the agenda.
Please, you're welcome to go too, sir.
I'm just trying to figure out where we're at on the agenda, is all I'm asking, this part of what you're on to next.
Oh, well, we're there right now. Statements and remarks. And I am gonna ask you we're gonna hold you to a time on this. And, but I will entertain statements and remarks from anybody that'd like to make one. And please, keep it, no need making anything any harsher or any worse than perhaps you feel right now. It's not my intent to do that. I don't want anybody else to do that.
Michelle May, and I want to speak out. I'm sorry that some people have been negative throughout this whole thing, because that is not the way we should be treating one another. I understand that. But please do not lump everyone in a category, because some people have spoken out in a way that is negative. Because some of us have spoken out and tried to be positive and kind and still spoke our heart. And I want to say thank you to everyone who has volunteered through Little League, because the volunteers of Little League have made it happen, and there are some that have loved our children and been role models for our children and helped them to grow as individuals. And so I do not want that to be discounted and not heard.
I agree, I think so. Anybody?
My name's David Riccio. I've coached with Madison County Little League for the past 4 years. This podium and tell it to your faces. Thank you.
Amen.
I know it has.
All right. We won't hold this much longer, folks. Going once, twice.
No, sir.
Need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Vote is to Commissioner Gosper.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.